About 2 years ago, I woke up in the morning and I did what I'm sure a lot of you do, which is I picked up my phone and I started to scroll through all my social media stuff and my email. And I'm scrolling through my email to see if anything important has been sent to me. And I see a subject line that says something crazy along the lines of, "My brother and I have been sleeping together and now I'm pregnant. How do I tell my parents?" I read it like 2 or 3 times and I was like, is this a real thing? Is this a real question? Also, why am I being sent this question? And so I looked at the sender and it was from a page called Quora Digest. And I was like, Quora Digest? I've never ever heard of Quora Digest. What's that? I didn't sign up for an email list or anything. And so I clicked on the subject, and what pulled up was a list of essentially a bunch of questions and their top answers. I started getting these emails every morning, and so it became part of my morning scroll was to just read a couple of these weird questions from this page. And I just kept thinking, how did I get signed up for this? It's not something that I signed up for. I didn't put my email into anything. I usually put a fake email into things that require an email if it's not super important, like I actually need it sent to my email. And recently I thought to myself, okay, what is this platform? What is it for? What does it do? What's its purpose? So I clicked on to the main page for the site, and instead of just clicking on recommended questions and answers, I went and I looked at all of the options, and you can click and actually see that there are a bunch of different forums that have all sorts of crazy titles. You can click onto a certain page and almost all of the questions that you can answer, you can read other people's answers or post your own question, is under a certain category, or you can just post it like free range on the website itself. What is Quora Digest? Basically, it's a question answer site. Very simple. It is set up the same way a lot of social media is, where you can promote yourself, advertise things, create a big following on there. I mean, there's millions and millions of users on this platform. But the thing that's really interesting to me is basically you can write anything you want. You could write a confession of some kind, you can write a question, you can just vent. There's forums where you can just vent how you feel or like horrible things that you've done, and then people just answer it. You can literally ask anything. So I get sent the highlights from Quora Digest every morning, and I think I even get one in the afternoon or evening also. They're really trying to reel me in, get me to look at their stuff. A lot of the things on there are really like bananas. Like, they're so crazy and I think unintentionally hilarious, because it's just that simple format of ask a question, get an answer, or get like 600 answers, and then people get to upvote on it like Reddit. So you could write a response and it would get upvoted like 100 times, 1,000 times, whatever. It just depends on how much traction the post itself gets and your response. It's really entertaining to read because I'm sure there is a huge percentage of these posts and answers that are just totally fabricated, totally crazy. And the interesting thing about that is there are people who are members of the site, they've been members for years, they're like die-hard members of this online community, and they will call you out. If you have a profile, it shows all the posts you've posted on your profile, so someone can click on your page and then read all of your stuff. Both my son and husband are going to prison. My husband got sentenced a couple of weeks ago up to 25 years no parole, while my son awaits sentencing facing up to 12 years in total. Is there any chance they are sent to the same facility? How can I cope? This person called them out by name, or their profile name, and said, "Your profile says you are a 24-year-old man working in Texas after attending high school, yet you have a son who is an adult. There is nothing else in your profile about your same-sex marriage or your son. So if your son is 19 and can be sentenced to 12 years for a crime, that means you were 5 years old when you fathered him. Truly amazing. How do you cope? You are a grown man writing doodly squat here on Quora for amusement purposes, I expect. Coping is not part of that." I love that this user was like, "Oh," and they replied so hard, but they still answered, "How do you cope?" They still answered the question. "My boyfriend doesn't look at my message for 1 week. He always ignores me, making excuses for his work. What should I do when he texts me? Are you sure he knows he's your boyfriend?" Roasted. Okay, this was another weird one. "If your child was at another child's birthday party and they opened 3 gifts intended for the birthday child, would you make your child give the gifts back? Or would you let your child keep them if they were crying about it and just replace the gifts? Just to make sure I understand the question. My kid opened someone else's birthday presents and you think there's a scenario where keeping the gifts was an option to even give?" No, the scenario you're describing is called stealing, and I'm certainly not going to cater to that. Agree, 100% agree with this answer. Not sure why this is a question. It seems like a pretty clear-cut thing. The only thing I could think of reasonably is that someone did this and someone else called them out on it. They went to the internet for validation because it seems crazy to me, being a parent, but also just being a human, that someone would wonder if that was okay.
Who says I can't?
The man with a funny hat.
I want one. I want a golden goose.
Okay, this is a good one. "A 6-year-old kid said that I'm ugly without my glasses. Does it mean I am objectively ugly since kids are brutally honest?" And the top answer was, "You're confusing honesty and accuracy. Lots of kids are honest about stuff like this, but that just means they're giving their honest opinion. This kid honestly thinks you're ugly without your glasses." But ultimately, ugly is an opinion. I guess you could say someone is objectively ugly if like 95% of human beings share the opinion that that person is ugly. One kid's opinion doesn't tell you how everyone else judges your appearance. Without a doubt, this actually happened because kids are brutal, man. I have 3, they're brutal, even when they're not trying to be brutal. They're just honest, you know? Kids are so pure, they're too pure for this world. But I have totally had a child say something to me that cut deep. More times than one, I've had a child say a very strange comment to me that they, you know, they don't share the social pressures that adults do, so they don't understand that that's not something you should say to a person. But I totally agree with the answer, which is looks are objective. There's someone for everyone. Everyone has things that are beautiful about them, and everybody has things that are ugly about them too. What do you say when your partner that you live with says she loves you but is not in love with you anymore? I'd say, "Tell me more about that. I want to hear everything that's going on with you. Take your time. I'm here for you right now. I love you." Then I'd listen deeply, attentively, and empathetically, as best as I know how. No defensiveness, no arguing, no reactivity. I'm sorry. This response is BS. I would love to meet the person who is this reasonable all the time. Because my knee-jerk reaction, if my husband was like, "Yeah, you know, I love you, but I'm just not in love with you anymore," would not be nearly this calm. I'm not saying I'd have a tantrum. What? But I'd definitely be upset. I would want to know more about it, sure. But my feelings would be really hurt. This is my beloved. She is in distress, and she is reaching out to me to communicate her distress. My role is to be supportive, to the best of my ability, and to postpone my personal reactions for the moment. My loved ones need my listening, and that's what I have to supply. I mean, if you are this in control, I think I could only dream to be that patient. Does a horse understand what's happening when a human climbs on its back to ride it for the first time? Does it try to resist? Depends on how well it's been trained. Horses naturally lay their heads on each other's backs, and a properly trained horse will have got used to having a human lean their arms across its back and place a heavy blanket there before they are mounted for the first time. So they should only be a bit surprised, not panicked. Cool. Learn something new every day. Okay, I'm gonna do my best to read this as I believe it was intended to be written and not with the spelling errors. I'm gonna try to translate it for you. If my boyfriend wants me to dye my hair, should I? We have argued over this multiple times, and it has turned into him telling me that he's not physically attracted to me and that I should find a different boyfriend, and then he goes back to being sweet. I normally charge for tarot readings because I value my time, but I have had some experience with manipulative, mentally abusive partnerships. So I decided to do a special reading just for this question. I'm Christian, and my mom told me when I get married I must have a traditional wedding, a modern wedding, papers, etc., and a church wedding. She told me marriage in church means no divorce, and that makes me feel trapped. I'm only 14, so maybe I don't get it? First of all, what is traditional wedding and then modern wedding, papers, etc.? Huh? I'm not sure what this... Maybe I'm getting too hung up on this. But aren't all marriage, don't you have to have paperwork for every marriage? That's legal? That's a legal marriage? Okay, focus, it's not important. You are only 14. Enjoy life for now. Which I agree with 100%. If and when you want to marry someone, talk to your family then. You will be older and you will have made a few decisions for yourself by then and know yourself, what you want, and how to get them. Know yourself, what you want, and how to get them. Get the things you want? I'm trying not to be too judgmental about the way people write out their thoughts. I'm sure I've made horrible posts myself, but some of these I'm like, I'm dating two people at the same time and I want to break up with one. Which one should I choose? The one who is pretty or the one who is intelligent? They can't be both. They can't be pretty and intelligent. Gotta broaden your horizons there, dude. I'm sure there are people who fit all of the categories you're looking for. Firstly, I know this is none of my business, but dating two people at once is already wrong. You know that saying, if you had to choose between two people, choose the second? If you really liked the first, then you wouldn't be with the second. But the thing is, why are you still with the first if you really loved the second? My advice is to come clean with your actions and break up with them both. It's not about the pretty one or intelligent one, it's about how much you really care or like them. As I told you before, you should come clean with your actions. How would you feel to be played? P.S. You do not specify if you're in an open relationship or not, so I'm assuming you are cheating on them. If you are in an open relationship, you should really imagine your future with each of them. Which one do you see yourself with in the future? I think it's a pretty bold assumption to make that this person is old enough to plan their future with a significant other. I'm sure if this is a real question that this person is under 18. And I would bet money on it. You know, this is my thing. When I was dating back in the day, 100 years ago, when I was not married, if I was dating a person and they didn't define the relationship, like they didn't make it official, they didn't ask to be exclusive, then I would date different people. If someone asked me on a date, I would go on a date with them. I assumed that the other person I was seeing was doing the same, because if they didn't want us to be exploring other options, they would have defined the relationship and made things official. So I'm a little half and half with this one. I think if you're in a committed relationship and you're seeing someone else, that's wrong, unless, you know, different strokes for different folks. Like if you're in some sort of different relationship dynamic where it's not monogamous or whatever, good for you. I'm just talking about in this sort of circumstance. I think it's fine to see other people or see multiple people if you are not committed to anyone. But part of that too is making sure the people you're seeing know that you're seeing other people. My son wants to wear a dress and heels to prom. What should I do? I recommend finding him a 1920 style flapper dress, as these are designed for a flat-chested figure. Guys usually look horrible in dresses because most dresses are tailored to fit a big bust and noticeable hips. But flapper style favored a boyish figure. And see in my comment section below where several people have wandered into a discussion of what kind of shoes would be best for him. You know, every once in a while, when I think humanity really sucks, I see something like that response and it just warms my cold, dead heart. How do I get over this Romanian man? Do you believe that him being Romanian requires some one-of-a-kind getting over him approach? But really, I want to know. Tell me, does it require a special approach? If he is toxic, simply cut any communication with him. Block his calls, mails, block him on social media. If he cannot get in touch with you, he cannot reel you in again. At the same time, make sure you keep in contact with your friends. Go out with them, talk to them, ensure you are not left alone with your thoughts about the guy. The worst thing you could do would be to isolate yourself from the world. That way, he will become the sole object of your thoughts and you will relapse. Relapse like he's hard drugs. Stay away from that Romanian man. He's irresistible. Is it common after breaking up that you don't care for another relationship? Common? My experience in this area says, yes, indeed, it's common, and if you don't take a break and get your head correct, expect nightmares in the relationships going forward. Nightmares? Think of it like you're broken, so you need time to heal the break. Then, when you're ready, you'll be able to find a much better match. I think that's true. You gotta be right with yourself before you can be right with someone else, you know? Also, poor responder. Seems like they got real crushed by someone. So sad.
But maybe if we just held each other or something, you would remember what it's like to be with me.
No.
Why do guys lie about little things when they say they love you and want to marry you? Men tell women whatever they think the woman wants to hear. Women want specific things and are always looking to upgrade her man, even if all those things are perfect. To get all those things perfect, the man has to lie. No. You don't have to lie. Just be yourself, you know? Be yourself.
Be yourself. Be yourself.
No, but honestly, I don't. So I have 2 sons and I have a daughter. It really irks me when people say things about men this, women that, meh. Life is gray area, okay? What you identify as or what you are, it doesn't define what choices you're gonna make. Everyone is different. Some people are gonna act this way, some people are gonna act that way, okay? I've known a lot of shady chicks, all right? A lot of shady chicks. I've had a lot of lovely male friends who were awesome. Yeah, are there gonna be people in life who just want your money and stuff? Yeah, maybe don't pick those people. Maybe be yourself, unless you suck. Then get better.
I don't want to be myself.
How should I tell my dad that I need to wear a bra? I am 12 and my parents are divorced. I know that I need at least a cup bra, but I am still not wearing any type. Show him you boobs. So he can see they are growing. Don't be ashamed of your body. Just show him you boobs. Don't show him you boobs, okay? Don't do that. My dad, if I had show him you boobs, he would have freaked out. He would have been so mad and so uncomfortable. He literally would have been like, hey, why don't you just tell me you need a bra? Why'd you have to show me? That's weird. If this is a real question someone has, just tell your dad you need a bra, okay? Just tell him you need a bra. That's all he needs to know. My adult daughter is a very beautiful woman physically. However, she's very ugly on the inside. I can't stand to be around her. Any advice? Simple. Don't be around her. Why are you talking about if you supposedly have a daughter that is beautiful? Hey, how about I have a daughter that is physically ugly and ugly inside. What should I do? Any advice? Hey, I have a daughter who is ugly outside and beautiful inside. What should I do? Any advice? Yikes. What trend do you regret the most to have followed? This one hurts, but I have to speak my truth. My name is Alexander and I was a planker. Back in 2010-11, I was so into planking, I do it everywhere. Literally everywhere. If you need a quick refresher, planking was the viral craze that saw people lie face down on inanimate objects in exotic places and even some truly insane and dangerous spots, leading to a few deaths and automatic entry into the Darwin Awards. Was it creative? Maybe when the first planker decided it would get a chuckle from his Facebook followers to lay face down on the road and snap a pic, but the trend got old fast. By that time, it was too late. I was on the bandwagon, and I didn't realize it had peaked and become cringeworthy. It's hard to see people exit the bandwagon when you're lying face down in it. I have hundreds of photos from trips to New Zealand, Bali, Thailand, Vietnam, and Cambodia, all face down on the ground and leaving people extremely confused. I guess dumb Western trends don't find their way to rural Southeast Asia. I still have mates who send me photos of coasters balancing on top of drinks at the pub and say it looks like me. I get annual reminders from Facebook of all the trips I took where I lay down on the ground instead of marvel at whatever incredible sight was behind me. And I have lifelong shame of knowing I wasn't just on the fringes of the planking craze. I was leading it from the front. Well, I was leading it face down on the ground. Please don't judge me. I know, I'll never forgive myself. Yes, I'd like one Big Mac and one I have nothing but self-loathing for this period of my life meal. My favorite part about this picture is the worker who's like, hey, we're planking. My boyfriend chatted with me with a fake account, asking me out, which I refused. Now he's picking a fight asking me why I didn't block the person. What should I do? I'd suggest you should dump him. Duh. What he did was underhand and manipulative, and now he's trying to put the blame on you because you didn't block his sock puppet account. This is not how someone with any respect for their partner acts. If you stay with him, he will probably only get worse. Yeah, dude, he catfished you.
I give it to you. You got me there.
Sane people don't catfish people, especially not their significant others.
So, hey, maybe.
Have you ever stomped on someone's foot full force? Why did you do it? Yes, I have. I was taking my 95-year-old mother to the local supermarket. A young boy, aged 9 or 10, was following his mother around while she was shopping. I watched him. He waited until his mother wasn't watching and he kicked out hard at a lady shopper's shins. She cried out. The boy's mother looked at her but said nothing. The boy laughed. In another part of the supermarket, we came across the same boy. Again, while his mother was taking something from a shelf, he kicked my mother's leg. She almost fell over. The boy looked at me and smirked. The boy's mother said nothing. I followed them into the next aisle and stood in front of the young lad. I stepped back, and with all my weight, I buried my heel into the top of his foot. I heard a crack. I think I broke his toes. He screamed out so loud and was still screaming on the floor when the security men came running toward us. Yeah, I wonder why. I said to his mother, I'm so sorry. I didn't see him standing behind me. The boy looked at me in the eye and said nothing. He knew what I'd done and why I'd done it. Edit. I'm adding this because some people have suggested I should have spoken to his mother. I was later visited by the manager of the store who told me the history of this boy's behavior. It appears that this child had previously kicked out at several old ladies in the supermarket. Always old ladies, never men. It wasn't just a tap on their shins. He gave them a full force kick. One woman reported this to the manager and the police were called. Okay, I call BS on this one, number one. Number two, if you really did do this to this child, you are an unhinged psycho. Lunatic, crazy person, bananas. You can't stomp on a child's foot and break their toes. No matter how mad you are, it's assault, dude. Not okay. So, for your sake, I'm hoping this is a fake story. If you did this to my son, even if he was being a little jerk, I'd break your toes. Full stop. How can my girlfriend be cheating on me? It's pretty easy. She goes out, meets somebody, and doesn't tell you. Yeah. Why do I not let people get close to me? You do this because, like me, the few people you did let in absolutely destroyed you. I am not close to anyone. The 2 people I was are dead. I don't even have family I'm able to talk to. However, we can't keep shutting everyone out or else we will lead an extremely lonely life. That is no life to live. You only get one. Obviously, don't give someone your undying love and attention right off the bat. You gotta take that risk so you don't have any what ifs. What if it doesn't work out? What if you never let the one person in and you lose them? It's too late. Not everyone is out there to hurt you. Learn from your past. Accept your mistakes and do better than before. It sucks being hurt. Nobody wants that. But unfortunately, it's life. Know what you deserve and don't ever settle for less. There are evil people out there who prey on those good people. When someone wrongs you, hear them out. Always believe actions, never words. People will tell you, but they will always show you. Huh? Anyone else notice some inconsistencies here? My daughter upset me deeply. How can I make her understand that if she doesn't start acting normal, I'm going to have a stroke or a heart attack because of her? I've been to your profile. I think you have 2 options. A, have the heart attack, then have another one, then keep having them until your daughter improves. B, give your daughter enough money to move far, far away from you so that you can live in peace. I'm afraid I won't get over him and I won't be able to love another person again. Will this pass? Give me a break. So this has just been a little taste of Quora Digest and what it's all about. Check it out, honestly, if you're bored. It's pretty entertaining. I'm gonna leave you guys on this one that gave me the best laugh I've had in a while. What was the creepiest text message you've ever received? I know what you did and payback won't be pretty. I was 14 when I got that text, and like the brat I was, I assumed it was a prank. Turned out it was far from a prank. A man had found out his wife had been cheating, and by some odd mishap, he got hold of my number in belief it was the number of the man she cheated with. My answer to the first text was simply, LOL, and that fueled a rage I've seldom seen since. I got an apology at the end when he realized his mistake, but after all the death threats and the threats towards my genitalia, I found the apology well deserved. Can you imagine you find out your SO is cheating and you find a number and you're like, I'm gonna confront this person, and you write them that text that says, I know what you did and payback won't be pretty, and their response is, LOL. I would be so mad. Whew. Beautiful. So beautiful.